Hi everyone. So today I'm going to show you my Madlib class for my final project, which intakes and outputs a lot of text information while interacting with a user to create a generated story. So the first thing I do for this is import my scanner class and then initialize some int variables and then my scanner object. Of course, before that, I title my class Madlib, and so once I have that all set up, what I do is I welcome the user with a message that asks them to enter 1 or 2, and what I'm doing is asking what theme they want, the theme of future, which is 1, or food, which is 2. And depending on what they respond, one of these two parts of an if-then-else statement will run, and they'll contain almost identical code, except all the variables will be different, so that each theme, so that they're two different themes. But otherwise it's the same structure for both blocks. And before I can even get into that if-then-else statement, though, I need to make sure that they enter 1 or 2, and don't try to enter any other numbers or spell anything out. So to do that, I write this do-while loop to evaluate their input, and if their response doesn't have an int, then this part of the loop will continue to run until they finally enter something that has an int in it. And once they do, that number is assigned to the variable theme, which I already initialized. So then we can finally get into running the real program for them. So if they enter 1, 1 is less than 2, so this future theme runs, which is a lot of code. But if they enter 2, then it's not, of course, less than 2, so what happens then is this part of the if-then-else statement runs, and it's the food theme. But I'm just going to run you through one of them because we don't have a lot of time. So once the user enters 1 or 2, the first line is input dot next line. And the reason that I must enter that before prompting them for an entry of text is because I'm going to eventually, I'm doing a lot of next line calls, but I'm also doing one next int call. And when I am mixing between next int calls and next line, anytime I am writing a next line call, if the previous call wasn't a next line one, I have to simply write this so that nothing gets skipped. It's just something that I found while writing the code that if I didn't do this, then there were skips, so that's why I do it. So what happens next, once I get this started, is a series of asking them for different nouns, objects, plural nouns, foods, etc., different categories, saving their responses in a variable, and then eventually creating a new string variable that prints out all theirs according to the prompt, which the prompt will stay the same every time because it's coded just into the program this way. So that is actually very straightforward. The only complicated thing within it is this part where I ask for an int, and just like before when asking them to choose 1 or 2, if they don't enter an integer for this response for a 3-digit number, I run this do-while loop that continues to ask them to please enter a number until they do. So once I have all my variables, as I said, I am displaying them in the result. I display the variable that I've created to store all the responses, and I simply display it. After that, I ask them to rate how satisfying their answer was. I store it in a satisfaction variable, and I ask them between 1 through 5 how satisfactory was it. If it is less than 1 or greater than 5, I throw